Hair, Love, Radio.
You're listening to Hair Love Radio, where we get into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to make your dreams a reality, start unlocking your potential, and live your best life, helping hairstylists, creatives, and girl bosses spread their awesome and light like confetti. You were made for awesome. Hi, welcome back to Hair Love Radio. I'm your host, Elizabeth Faye. Today I'm here with our very own marketing director, Emily Fisher. Emily Fisher is actually one of the biggest players behind this podcast, and she does so much of the producing and the marketing, and we're so grateful for her, and she gets to help bring magic to your ears every single week. I'm really pumped because today we're talking about something that, everything we talk about is near and dear to my heart, but this is something that has personally been a huge thing that I love to talk about and share with others. We are going to talk about the importance of mentors and how they can actually change the entire pathway and shaping of your life and career. And Emily is amazing. She's a hard worker. She's a hustler. She is creative. She's an all-around badass, and she's one of our lead girl bosses in our company. And I'm so grateful that this is her first time on the podcast, and we get to hang out with you guys and bring you some sweet knowledge bombs.
Woohoo! Hey.
Hi.
Happy to be here.
We're glad you're here.
Is there like an appropriate way to say I'm popping my podcast cherry today?
Oh my gosh. I think
What is that called?
Podcast cherry. I think it's popping your podcast cherry.
Yeah, popping my podcast
Are you
cherry.
jazzed about
I'm
popping?
so jazzed about it.
Emily's here today and really jazzed about popping your podcast cherry.
Lots of peas.
I am very jazzed that I'm the one who gets to pop it.
We've been waiting for this moment a long time.
It's finally here. Well, so let's talk a little bit about who you are before we get into this topic. So they know you're a marketing director. You're amazing at what you do. So let's talk a little bit about what you actually do for the company and for Hair Love and what your day-to-day kind of looks like before we get into how you got here and how your mentors have really paved the path for you to be the woman you are today.
Yeah, hell yeah. So what I do at Hair Love and for Elizabeth's other businesses, not every day looks the same, which is something I really appreciate. I could be helping publish podcast episodes, writing show notes. Any show notes that you read on the blog is my work.
The blog, you do a lot of publishing of the blog.
We do a lot of blog stuff and a lot of social media, email marketing. I'm involved in a lot of the ticket sales stuff for Hair Love Club or the retreat or Workshop in a Box. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of different stuff, a lot of diverse work, which I appreciate because I don't like getting stuck in a rut workflow-wise. So.
We definitely switch it up all the time. No, Emily helps with our new apparel store, Hair Love Vibe. Everything from maybe the copyright that's on it to the actual marketing of it. She helps us come up with strategies, ways that we can, basically all the awesome stuff that we're really passionate about creating. How can we get it in front of more eyeballs? She actually teaches in our coaching program and helps other hairstylists and soon to be other creative entrepreneurs get to, do the same with their businesses. She'll be speaking at different events we do some private coaching with really bigger celebrity names in our industry that we get to, do some one-on-one strategy building for their Instagrams or Facebook or ad campaigns. So Emily does a lot, and she's was a super big godsend for our company. And I'll kind of give you a little backstory of her and I.
We have a story.
Yeah, we have a story. It's so cute. It's so weird. Okay, this is weird, Emily.
Serendipitous to the max.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And what is weird is every single person who works for our company, we had a story with before. I'm like, I swear the universe is they place people in your life when you need to be insane. It's so crazy.
Amen.
But Emily, okay, we're going to bring this back 2011?
2011, yeah. It was spring 2011 or summer.
And there were wedding bells for Emily.
There were wedding bells.
Emily was getting married to her ex-husband.
A young Emily with stars in her eyes and no idea
Oh, Lord.
about what was ahead. Was
And-
getting married, and I got a recommendation to get my hair done from Elizabeth, or get my hair done by Elizabeth. So there was a little studio that you worked out of above like a laser
ugly.
tag
Yes.
place.
Oh my gosh. It's so bad, my first studio.
But you know what? Like, my experience that day with you was different than interactions I have with humans regularly. Like, your drive and your excitement for your craft was something I was like, whoa. Like, she might be like in a studio, right? And I didn't even have a high bar for salons. So I'm like, she might be like here right now, but like this bitch is going places.
That's
for sure.
awesome.
And
I've
then-
always been crazy.
Always since day one. Me too, though.
Yeah, so I did her hair for her wedding,
It looked great.
It
I was so
did.
happy with it.
and then our paths did not cross again. And then she got divorced. I got married and divorced in that time period. And then my boyfriend now, who is our videographer for Hair Love and does a lot of our media, Derek, he worked for a tech, which we'll have to do a whole episode about Derek, but he worked for a tech company for a decade, and he started as a graphic designer. That's what he went to school for. And then he got into video, and then he ended up being like this one-man show. He was scripting, he was copywriting, he was filming, he was editing, he was
Derek
producing.
is holding a lot together.
Oh my gosh.
At that company.
And he
yeah.
was running their YouTube channel, grew their YouTube channel. And then Emily was doing marketing for that company. And they were like on this New York trip they went and filmed New York Fashion Week. And he was like, oh, Emily
was such a fun
Fisher.
trip.
Yeah. And I was home. I was not there. And I was like, Emily Fisher, I freaking know her. Like, I did her hair like forever ago. And he was like, oh, yeah, well, she's awesome, whatever. And then when we started Hair Love in 2017, which, oh my gosh, it's 2019 now. Time is flying.
Crazy.
But he was like, we were just like, we need marketing help. Because I've pretty much done I've done all our marketing forever. And I love it. I love coming up with strategies, but it's just, I didn't go to school for it. Obviously, I don't know everything. I'm self-taught and I'm one human being. And so we're like, okay, well, let's have this Emily girl help us on the side. So she helped us a lot with just like Hair Love Sells and like when we first got started, which was awesome. And I remember laying in bed and telling Derek, I wish our company could afford to have Emily full time. And I was just like, oh, that would be such a dream. Like, it would help with the workload so much. Like, it's just so much work, you know? And
Little did Elizabeth know at that very minute, I was saying, man, I need to have some kind of a new career experience. And I was ready to leave that company and do things a different way and have, I don't know, a different experience, not the corporate experience.
which I had no idea about. She was doing really well in the company, had been there a while, you know, from what I knew, loved her coworkers. And so I had no clue. And I just kind of like randomly brought it. How did it get brought up? Did I bring
I
it up?
texted you.
That's
I texted you
right.
one morning. I was like on my way to work and I was like, oh, I have to go into the office. I loved the work I did, but I think the office like environment, or at least the one that was
Like the
there, wasn't
lifestyle.
like helpful for me as a person and my work style. But I was in the parking lot and I was like, I need to text Elizabeth and just like let her know that I might be looking for something new. And so I texted you.
And I
And
think-
you called me like 2
Yes.
minutes later.
I was like, holy shit. I think the text is something simple like, hey, I might be changing some things up. If you need any more help, like, let me know. It's something really brief. And I just remember being like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Oh my gosh. And yeah, so I called you. And then what happened?
And then basically within a day, we had decided that I was going to come on full time for you, right?
Yeah.
It was about a day.
And like backside of that, Emily, I've never even told you this, so it's on the podcast now, and now you're knowing. Hiring you is one of the scariest things I've ever done. And that is because, you know, hiring my first full-time employee was Maisie. But Maisie was a gradual, like I've had lots of assistants and I've always had like multiple part-time employees, but having full-time is a big deal. And Maisie's, it was such a gradual, like she was 20 hours a week, then she was 30, then she was 40, and then she was payroll. Like it was so gradual. And so our company just went from like, you know, lots of freelance creatives, like working with like 3 different graphic designers and editors and all of this stuff to like growing our in-house. At the same time, Derek was coming on full time. So it just like went from like 0 to 10 really quick. And you came from a corporate world and like our company's obviously not corporate at all.
Definitely not.
Like we're a very creative company. We're a new company. I'm a crazy person with unicorns in my brain. And so we can talk later about how psycho that is. But so I was really nervous because I knew the environment you were coming from. I didn't know anything about. But I knew it was so different. And I didn't know if you would like this environment.
Night and day difference.
Yeah.
And like the corporate environment is so structured and so many policies and so many rules and so much like just convention that you have to follow to make it anywhere. And then also it's typically a really male-dominated space. And
I think, no, this is fine to talk about because I see people talking about this online all the time. That's why a lot of women empowerment is coming up in the corporate world. So we can totally talk about that.
yeah, and like the marketing team at the old job did have a lot of females, but that was like the concentration of females at that company in like big decision-making roles. Everywhere else, females were not represented very well. So night and day difference, like a lot less structure, which as I've learned about myself in my 20s is actually really good for me. Just like mentally, I only need like a little bit of structure and then I can operate around that and have the freedom to be creative. So I'm glad you took the chance on me.
I'm so glad I did too. It was scary because it was like taking on a whole nother, you know what I mean, person, but
Yeah.
so exciting. Like I remember being equally like wanting to throw up because I was scared, but equally like so thankful and grateful. And it's just like a testament to when new good things are happening, it's normal to be scared. Like Derek's like, this is normal. You should be scared. This is a big deal. And it's normal to be excited at the same time. So that was amazing. And yeah. So let's talk about like, I just want people to know like your role here and all of that. And okay, let's go backwards. Let's talk about mentors.
Okay. And I like that we were talking about how we met because that kind of brings me into like the whole idea of mentorship or being a mentor to someone. There aren't really any rules for how you find a mentor or how you find someone to be mentored.
Ooh,
Like-
I like that.
It's kind of going off of the idea of everyone comes into your life to teach you a lesson or more. So I think if you're like at a spot in your life where you know you need to grow and you're kind of frustrated because you know you need to get to the next level, keep an open mind and like just trust the universe or God or your intuition, whatever you believe in, and it'll come your way. And those people that are supposed to teach you those lessons will come your way by total happenstance.
Happenstance. Ooh, I love that. There's so many quotable things happening right now.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's so true though. Like if you look back at like if your life was like a timeline or a star map, like you could literally connect the dots and be like, if I, like Maisie worked at the college in events and met this guy, Evan, to do her hair. And if she wouldn't have met him through the college, Evan introduced her to me to be a hair assistant. All these other things happened 2 years span. And then she was with us. Like all of these people were part of like, you know, that little star map or that timeline. And
I
it's
love
so
star map.
crazy.
That's such a cool way to put it. I love what you said about star maps because this is one thing I think a good mentor does is actually helps people connect each other to other people.
Yes.
So when I think about a mentor, I think of someone who's a connector, someone who helps people weld those interpersonal relationships to meet the people they need to.
Oh, that's so good. That's what we do at Hair Lab, actually.
It is. It's
we're
totally what you do.
connectors. We talk about that all the time. Like, we're creating experiences and events and safe places, whether it's online or in Zion National Park. where people can connect. And like what you do from there is the magic. It's been amazing to watch the people who meet each other, whether it be influencers, educators, attendees, or, you know, a combination of those, even brands, of like what has come to fruition past then. It's so cool. It's
It
like
is so
giving
cool.
birth. Like, yay, I give
You're
birth.
birthing these connections. And that's really cool. Like, if you think about someone really influential in your life, I think you're always going to remember how you met them or who introduced you to them. And
Yes,
so
that
even
is
though
true.
a mentor, like they don't necessarily need to be the loudest voice in the room, but the person like looking at the people there and saying, okay, what is this person's talents and who needs that right now?
Yes.
I think that's cool. And I think that's something people don't necessarily talk about a lot when they talk about mentorship.
Yeah, well, because I like what you said. It's not always the person on stage. It's not always the person who it's all about. A lot of time, the mentor is just solely a connector. There's someone, I love that. Like they see the good in people. I mean, whether that's you doing that as a parent, like literally, I just watched this show called Dumplin'. Like this is so silly. I'm saying this right now. But I liked it so much. It was such a good message. It was on Netflix. Jennifer Aniston was in it. And her daughter in the movie, they call her Dumplin'. And her aunt was like a mentor for her. And she strategically placed another little girl in her life because both of them had certain insecurities and she knew they'd be best friends. And it changed the path of their life forever. And that's a mentor.
Like, it's kind of like being a matchmaker.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. No, and the best mentors are people who they're okay to be on stage or off. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like it too. And I think it takes the pressure off too, because like when you think about leadership roles, you picture someone on a stage or someone who's really good talking to crowds. That's not who I am at all.
Yeah.
So like, it's nice to know that, yeah, you can be like the person behind the scenes making it happen. And that's where I'm comfortable most of the time. And I think I could be better at that. But yeah, absolutely. And something you mentioned earlier about seeing the good in people,
Yeah.
I think that's another really important thing for someone who's in a leadership position or a mentorship position is being able to look at someone and see what their gifts are and like take the time to get to know them and like really see through like that wall that people have and put those talents to work.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, and that's something that could simply be done by a simple, like the 16 personalities test, which like all of our salon girls take in our team and getting to know them or just asking questions. Like, for example, some of our salon girls, a few of them are really shy and a few of them aren't, or asking like Emily, like it helps her creatively to work in different environments or have certain freedoms. And then she's able to do what she does best even better. And so I think that can be had by simple conversations, don't you think?
So, yeah, a simple curiosity and want to understand the person you're dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's love too. It's like
Yeah.
paying attention, wanting to understand someone for who they are.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Oh, so warm and fuzzy.
So it's just, yeah, no, I love the message in general is that mentors come in all shapes and sizes and they're not always the Oprahs of the world,
Absolutely.
but
yeah.
they still can make just as much change.
Do you want to hear about my first mentor?
I
like
do.
The first person in my life who I'm like 100% if this person wasn't there, I would not be here right now.
Yeah, 100%.
So I can't remember what year it is, maybe, or year it was, 2014 or 15. I had been married for like 4 years and felt so stuck. So stuck. Like I had not gone to school. Like I kind of dropped out to work full time and like make some money. I didn't necessarily have a support network that was interested in helping me get more education, which I knew I needed. So against the advice from my ex, I enrolled in school again. And like probably within the first week of classes, I met these random like people my age that were like, hey, come shadow this class. It's a business and marketing class. I think you'd really like it. And so I was like, okay, I'll go. And like, I am like a pretty shy person, pretty introverted. So that was scary to like talk to these people and then go to a class just totally random.
Yeah.
And my first mentor was the teacher of that class, like the head advisor. His name was Brian Geddes. And he, like within a couple interactions, had totally sold me on the idea of taking the class. And the second I walked into that room and he acknowledged me, he made me feel like I was special and valued. And I think that's the last thing that's most important for mentors is like show people their light, because sometimes you have this internal dialogue with yourself that says, you know, I'm not worth it, or I don't deserve anymore, I don't deserve better. And that is the conversation I'd been having with myself for years beforehand, I think because of the people I was surrounding myself with. So it was incredibly refreshing to have someone tell me something different. And it totally like reignited my imagination for what was possible.
Oh, I love that. Well, and okay, what you said. So we all have like a story we tell ourselves, whether it's all I do is win, 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 no matter what, or it is right, or it's like I suck and I'm not worth winning at all. And so as a mentor, you can't rewrite someone's story, but you can, I loved that, show them the light and give them that permission to. And that's what good mentors do is they lead you to the water and they teach you how to fish. They don't fish for you. And it's from there, the people who are really going to make great change that really take that opportunity. They saw the light and they take that leap of faith because they know they have someone who encourages them, who loves them and has their back.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of beautiful learning experiences happen when you're in that mindset where you are like desperate enough to take the leap.
Yep.
And you have like accepted that you do need help to reach the next level.
Yeah.
And that there is someone there to support you and like see you grow.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of, it's almost, I mean, that's how my life's gone too. Like things get so bad, you make change, right? Or you screw up so hard that it's time to learn a better way. But it's when it's more painful to stay where you are than it is to change that when we do it. And then I like to think eventually you learn that change is good and you're able to take those leaps. At least, you know, that's something I've experienced over the years. But a good mentor starts you on that path of knowing that you can.
Yeah. I was reflecting with my boyfriend the other night about 2018 and like where it led me and where it led him. I would have never imagined like half of that shit would have happened. Like I would have never pictured it. So like just knowing how unpredictable that year was and how absolutely unpredictable the rest of my life is going to be, and knowing how happy I am now, like there's only more good coming, and it's about trusting the unpredictability of life and just going with the flow.
Oh, I love that. Well, and it's
Just
a happy
ride the
thought.
wave.
Yeah. I love that. That's a happy thought to think like I could be this happy now, or so many new happier things that I've never even experienced are yet to come. Like that
Doesn't that
feels
make
good.
you feel good?
Yeah, even if things are bad right now, if you're listening to this and you're going through a hard time, like, I mean, Emily knows this, like going through a divorce, very hard.
Don't recommend, but do it if you have to.
But recommend if needed. But yeah, you can have that thought of like the happiest days of my life still haven't happened.
Well, I ended up signing up for that class that year and was heavily involved with the students in that class for the rest of my continuing education experience. And I ended up having a leadership position at the end, like my last year of college, and ended up just making a lot of good friends and having experiences I needed to give myself permission to grow. And I think eventually, like the confidence that I got from my experience in that class and with those people, and getting more clarity about what the world was like and what was and wasn't okay in relationships, made me realize that I needed to end my marriage. Like I think that was one big thing that helped me see the light.
So your class helped you see the light in your marriage. No.
In a really weird roundabout way.
Yeah.
That was one of the big things, I think.
Was it like, were you learning things so you felt like your mind was expanded to more knowledge and it helped you see things clear? Or what was it that happened?
I think it helped foster my intelligence. I think it helped connect me to people who really cared about me and wanted to see me grow and weren't afraid to tell me, hey, what your husband said or did was not okay. Like, oh, that's a little weird that you have a 9:30 curfew, you know?
Yeah,
So
that is.
So I would say like the people, like just continuing my education, I think gave me confidence. And then, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and maybe even seeing how other people live their lives and what that looked like that was something when I was going through contemplating getting a divorce, was just because I do hair. So I see a lot of women, and I see a lot of women who are married. And so just hearing them talk about the way they were treated, and they weren't bragging, they were just talking about normal life. And I would go, oh my, this is not what my life looks like. And their life's not anything, it wasn't anything shiny or special. They're not like, oh, he gave me a gift. It was just like the way he spoke to her on a phone call. And I was just like, oh, that is probably what healthy communication looks like, you know?
Yeah.
And
I lived for 5 years in that marriage, and for most of that time thinking that what my ex and I had was normal, because I wasn't exposed to other ways of having relationships and healthy communication.
Yeah.
And I think once I started seeing that, it like flipped a switch in my brain that I was like, oh,
Yeah. Well, and knowledge is power, honestly.
Yeah,
Like
for
that's, we've talked about this before, but like the more, leaders are readers, right? So we're talking about mentors in this. And when you read, you grow. When you attend workshops, you grow. When you have conversations that foster like thinking and creativity, you grow. And that's where I think a lot of relationships actually do fall apart, is if they don't grow together, right? And we won't go on that tangent, but like it's that same sort of thing, is it opens your minds to stuff. And that's where I think some of the best companies, employees, couples, relationships, they grow together. And so like here in our company, like we believe in continuing education. Sometimes that's on Facebook ads, and sometimes it's on balayage,
Yeah.
All right. So, Emily, to our listeners listening today to the radio, if they are, like you're saying, feeling in a rut or uninspired or just kind of in a bad spot, and they feel like finding a mentor would be really amazing in this new digital age, do you feel like a mentor always needs to be physical?
Not at all.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so either. Like, yeah, I don't think so, because now, like, I think about people who are inspiring to me, and probably half of those people are people that I've met online or follow.
Yeah, they don't even know you.
Yeah.
And I don't think it matters.
I don't think it does.
Just think of all the Bible changes people's lives. Self-help books change people's life. Crystal healing books change people's lives. And they didn't do anything but learn.
I think that kind of like builds upon the idea of keeping an open mind with it. Like, you don't know where or when or how you're going to meet like your next mentor, your next sensei,
Yeah. You don't know which book you're going to pick up or which person you're going to run into.
In a book, in a coffee shop, online.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, even, okay, this is weird, but it's kind of going back to that star map analogy, how like everyone connects this to something. And so I've been going through a lot of stuff with my 5-year-old. You know that. Maybe one day we'll talk about it on the podcast when I get it figured out. But we've been trying to find healthy ways to help him learn and behave in a way where he can be a happy human. And yesterday I was at a children's museum, and a woman and I started talking like super randomly. And she told me about, I'm going to like butcher it because I haven't looked into it. It's like she started teaching me about alpha neurofeedback, which I know nothing about. So I'm not even going to like go off on that. But it started me. So what if she's the star map person to today I Google it, tomorrow I make an appointment. What if it changed the path of my son's life. And that's just one of those things, like, the more you keep your mind open, I think you see the world like that. So almost like anything anyone recommends to me or offers to do, like I hit a point in my life where I just started saying, yes, yeah, let's try it. Because I do know that it's those little things that later you're like, oh my gosh, what if I never would have gone to the Children's Museum, never stood by that woman in that room, never took her recommendation? Like crazy shit like that can change your life. And maybe that alpha neurofeedback that I know nothing about today is what I'm talking about next year on the podcast, completely changing, depression in our family or mental health illnesses. Who knows?
That's so cool.
Isn't that
That's
interesting?
so cool that you can meet someone just totally randomly and
They could change your life.
they could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that helps me at least be more empathetic to people. Like, I don't know. There's a really good video. It's called "This Is Water." It's based off of a commencement speech by David Foster Wallace, where he talks about like the tedious grocery store runs that we do like at the end of a work day, and how it's so hard to be patient with the people around us. Like when people are banging their carts into yours, and like really those people, like, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, no. Keep going with the thought. I'm like all into it. That's super relatable, but it's so hard to not want to be mad at that person. And like really they're just like me and you. They have a kid at home with a problem they're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Emily's just trying to be happy and live her life with her man and be good at her job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And who knows, or their dog died that day, or their grandma's sick. Like you don't freaking know.
Yeah. And I think if someone is having a bad day and they're feeling vulnerable and like anxious or whatever, like a little kindness and a little empathy like can go a long way, I think. Yeah. And it just feels good. It just feels fucking good being like, oh, like, yeah, they definitely just cut me off in the cereal aisle, but like they're probably going through some shit. Like that's just a nice like default to put your brain to instead of being like,
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's obviously we don't all think like that all the time, but I think practicing that's what real leaders do. Think of anyone you look up to and in their most seasoned state, right? I believe that like they're not the people who leave a cart in the middle of the Costco parking lot that probably hit someone's minivan. They're probably not the person who swears at someone driving. They really probably aren't. So that's a good thing to kind of work towards as you're like saying fuck you to the person driving next to you. Just be like, in my most
I'm trying to remember the last
state.
time I swore at someone driving.
I don't do that, but yeah. But that's not because I'm perfect. That's because
No, I'm pretty sure I've done it fairly recently.
that's not where I lose my patience. I definitely lose my patience. Mine is just not with driving.
Yeah.
But I like
Same, I think.
I like feel bad for everyone driving, especially if they have kids. I like assume their life is hell in that car.
Can't even imagine.
So I'm like, oh no, just God bless you today.
Bless all the moms out there.
Well, I think this is awesome. Do you think we could put that video in the show notes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I would highly, highly, highly recommend it.
That video will be in the show notes for you, and we're just going to do a quick little wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Wrap it up. All the free tips are what's up? What's up? This is pretty fly. Blowing your mind like oh me, oh my. Let's wrap it up. Woo.
3 things taking away how to find a mentor. I'm going to take number 1 because you said something so beautifully. I love that you really emphasized that mentors come in all shapes and sizes, and they're not always the person on stage. Sometimes they are more of a silent mentor. So everyone can be a mentor, and I love that.
Yeah.
So let's do number 2 for someone who's already in a mentoring or leadership position.
They take the time and energy to see the good in people and the talents and figure out where those talents are needed.
Yes, I love that. Love, love, love. Okay, number 3, for someone who is in a rut and they're looking for mentorship in their life.
Try something new, go somewhere new, do something you're uncomfortable with that
Love
makes
it.
you feel scared and excited.
Yes. Hire Emily Fisher. Actually,
yeet.
no. Hold the phone. Explain yeet yeet. This has been happening in the office. I'll be like, hey, Emily, I have a fun idea for a marketing campaign. And she's like, yeet yeet.
My name's Emily Fisher, and I'm addicted to the word yeet. There, I said it.
Oh, shit. Who did you learn
Yeet
this
is like
from?
an excited, it's like an exclamation.
You know what's going to happen is yeet's
It's
going
like
to end up
saying
on
yay.
the podcast. It's going to be like snaps and yeets. Oh,
Snaps and
shit.
yeets.
Oh, shit.
I don't know. I need to stop it. Yesterday I tweeted, my New Year's resolution is to stop saying yeet so much. Oh, fuck, I said it again.
That's so funny. Well, yeet to you. Thank you for being on today's
Yeah.
episode.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, we'll see you guys later. And as always, we
We
hair
hair
love
love
you.
Hair, love, radio.